News in detail with me, Gloria Mutesi. Starting us off tonight, health authorities have stressed that the fact that most activities have resumed for people to attend to, including recreation activities, is a strong sign that the city of Kigali can return to normal life. Vaccination efforts that had been focused on Kigali city to protect residents have been extended to other parts of the country to increase immunity as well. It's been a year and a half since the pandemic hit Rwanda, and of the more than 1,150 people who have died from the pandemic, more than 65% have died in the past 3 months, since June when the Delta variant arose. However, since Rwanda launched its widespread vaccination campaign, especially for Kigali residents, the number of COVID-19 infections has significantly dropped from 15% to 3% among the tests conducted, while different surveys conducted on people living in different areas around the city showed that the infection had fallen from 6 to just 0.7%. This has reduced the number of hospital admissions by 75%, and some of the hospitals that were receiving COVID-19 patients, including Gatenga, Gatsiata, and Rugerero in Rubavu district, have stopped operations due to the decrease in the number of COVID-19 patients, with most patients being followed up under the home-based care program. For the first time since the outbreak in Rwanda, fans have returned to the stadiums for different tournaments like the Afro Basketball Championship and now currently the Africa Volleyball Championship. The only requirement is for one to be vaccinated against COVID-19 and present a negative test. Dr. Sebe Nsanzimana, the Director General of the Rwanda Biomedical Center, says without the COVID-19 vaccine, this would not have been possible, which is why the vaccination campaign is being extended to other districts across the country.
Muri Kigali ntekereza ko hakingirwa abantu benshi niko ubuzima buzagenda bufunguka.
I believe life will return to normal in Kigali city as we continue to vaccinate more people. For example, people are currently going to the arena, and among the tests we take for those that need to access the arena, we haven't seen any infections, which shows us how significant the vaccine is and the importance of frequent testing. We wish that the efforts of Kigali be extended to other parts of the country, which is also why many more vaccines have been distributed to other districts. Every time a cabinet meeting takes place, some people have speculated that bars will remain closed, but it is possible that they could open if the pandemic really slows down.
During the recent interaction with members of the press and the general public, President Paul Kagame emphasized the importance of vaccines towards fighting diseases, including pandemics, and thanked Rwandans for their participation in the vaccination activities.
Many Rwandans want vaccines. There are even other vaccines that we have in Rwanda. In fact, we are among the first to get vaccines in bulk, whether it's polio vaccines and other diseases that were eventually eradicated from Rwanda. And that's because vaccines became available and people used them. The challenge we have is getting enough vaccines for all the people that need them.
Same as the health authorities, President Paul Kagame urges everyone to continue being vigilant, especially with the changing variants of the virus.
We don't know when the pandemic will end. No one does. In addition to that, the virus keeps mutating, and new things are discovered about this pandemic as time passes. We have to always be prepared and know that fighting this pandemic might go on for a while because it's not known when it will end.
Rwanda is currently receiving more than 200,000 COVID-19 vaccines every week. Around 80% of the residents in Kigali and 25% of the target population countrywide has now been vaccinated. The goal is to hit 70% by the end of next year, allowing life to return to normal. Officials in the central bank have noted that despite its devastating effects on the economy, the COVID-19 pandemic has helped in the transition of digital transactions, especially in the financial sector. Figures from the bank indicate that the number of people who use their mobile phones to send and receive money has increased by 11% to 2,080,449, up from 1,882,168 as recorded back in June 2020. The central bank's governor has noted that in addition to the sharp rise in digital in March last year when charges for such transactions were scrapped, After the charges were reinstated, people continued to use these types of transactions because during the first quarter of this year, 2021, mobile banking transactions increased by 13% and funds transferred in this way rocketed by 98%. The value of the funds also increased by 24%. Charges associated with the transfer of money between a person's phone and bank account have also now been eliminated to encourage more people to use digital transactions and to help the economy recover faster.
Uko dukuye nzitizi y'amafaranga wishyura kugira ngo ubitse cyangwa ubikuze.
The more we eliminate barriers to people being able to transfer their money between their phone and bank accounts, the more they will be able to use those type of transactions, because it costs you nothing to deposit your money on your account and then later withdraw it using your phone at no cost again. Many people use their phones for digital transactions but do not have bank accounts. This will therefore also help them to start working with banks and help people engage in less cash transactions.
Now, some residents of Huye district say that domestic violence and related issues are the main reasons why lately many people have been taking their own lives. This is while today, the 10th of September, World Suicide Prevention Day, is marked globally. According to the Rwanda Investigation Bureau, 28% of suicides are related to domestic disputes. Jane Mutoni has the details.
Recently, there have been reports of locals taking their own lives at various times, where most of them committed suicide at the Inkunda Mahoro market located in Kigali city. As today marks the World Suicide Prevention Day, some residents of Huye district say that most suicide incidents are as a result of domestic disputes.
Back home, I heard that a man committed suicide because his wife committed adultery. But even after his death, the wife never stopped. So in other words, his committing suicide did not change or solve anything.
If only the local authorities could find ways of reaching out to the families, because sometimes you find that a certain couple is having extreme fights or disputes and no one can tell from the outside until one day you hear that the wife or the husband has committed suicide. While on the issue of whether this problem is prevalent among young people, these residents say that some of them that grow watching their parents having disputes do get affected, while others are mostly overwhelmed by the fear of their future, and others commit suicide because their significant other has betrayed them, as they add that this is wrong.
Young people are committing suicide as well, in most cases because they have been disappointed in romantic relationships.
Despite reports of suicides, the Rwanda Investigation Bureau estimates that the number of suicides in Rwanda has dropped by 2% in the past 2 years. According to RIB, in the 2019-2020 budget year, the number of suicides in Rwanda was 291, while in 2020-2021, it was 285. A psychologist and a professor at a university, Professor Vincent Sezibera, says people should normalize caring and showing love to one another in order to avoid depression, which most likely leads to suicide.
What we ask of people is that they care for one another, and if someone falls short, those around him or her should not discourage them, but rather show love, support and understanding by listening to what is really hurting them and then comfort them.
According to the Rwanda Biomedical Center, people who reach the point of suicide often show signs or symptoms of mental illness, but those around them do not value them. Dr. Jean Damascene Iyamuremye, director of the Psychiatry Care Department at RBC, says the medical authorities have put a lot of effort into raising awareness and training people on how to handle people who show symptoms.
We raise awareness in order to reduce cases of mental illness and other factors leading to suicide. Another thing is that we try to increase capacity in the health sector, like clinics and other institutions that provide healthcare, in terms of increasing the workers and equipment so that we can be able to help people with the symptoms.
According to the World Health Organization, of the 800,000 people who commit suicide each year, at least 60% suffer from severe depression and 90% suffer from mental illness. In Rwanda, a study by RIB shows that 47% of suicides, their cause has not been identified, while 28% is due to family conflict, 8% is due to mental illness, and 4% is due to depression. Land disputes are 3%, and those affected by chronic diseases are 3%. Suicides due to breakups are 2%, extreme poverty is 2%, debt is 2%, and losses is 2%. Jane Mutoni, RTV News.
Now, the Bank of Kigali has provided mobile phones to 11,000 coffee farmers in Ramagana district. The initiative is part of the bank's e-coffee initiative meant to help farmers access financial services. Saishnore has the details.
The farmers have welcomed the initiative, saying it is going to help them with their banking transactions. It was difficult to deposit and withdraw money at the bank because of the long queues. With this e-coffee program, it's going to be a lot easier in getting loans. It's also going to be a lot easier using e-coffee.
The money we get for Rakov will channel through e-coffee so that we can access loans.
Bank of Kigali executives say with the digitalization process taking place in the financial sector, the agricultural sector cannot be left behind.
It is not just phones being provided. We want them to join the e-coffee program and be able to transfer their funds with other partners at no cost to them. The bank will now have coffee farmers as clients and be able to provide them with loans. Engaging in agriculture is a business like any other, and they need loans to do things like buying fertilizers. They may also need personal loans for things like paying for health insurance or buying scholastic materials when it is time to send their children back to school. As clients of the bank, it supports them in such matters so that they can develop.
Officials in the Eastern Province have been noting that this initiative is helping to build up a knowledge-based economy in the country and thanks partners like the Bank of Kigali in the drive of the province towards long-term development. The e-coffee program was launched in 2019 and has 300,000 farmers as its members countrywide and 1,776 agents.
Equity Bank has unveiled a new payment method called Ishura na Faster that allows merchants and their customers to transact digitally at no cost whatsoever using their Equity Bank accounts. Let's now hear from Gabi Muvunyi.
For the first time in Rwanda, Equity Bank has introduced a new digital payment method where the buyer can now pay the merchant through their bank accounts at no cost for both parties. Equity Bank has named this new payment method Ishura na Faster, and it has been launched to promote cashless payments for both the buyers and the traders. It has been well received by the customers of the bank as it is a service that's going to make it easier for them to operate in their daily businesses.
It
is very good because for the customer there is no money deducted from them when they use this method. And this also applies to us, the vendors, as well. We are happy with this new payment method because money was always deducted when we use other methods. Many companies have this method, but it does not favor the traders and sometimes the customer. The Equity Bank Rwanda Managing Director notes they have put a lot of efforts into technology so as to cater to their customers' needs.
We are working hard with the providers of internet, whether they're internet service providers or the telcos, to be able to ensure that internet is stable, available, and faster, so that they can also, once they stabilize internet and available all the time, the services of getting access to the bank services become easier. So we're going to work with telcos and internet service providers to ensure that they also work on stability, availability, and if possible on price as well, to ensure that internet is available for use so that people can access banking services.
Equity Bank is one of 16 largest financial institutions in the Rwandan market and operates in 6 countries with more than 15 million customers. Gabi Muvunyi, reporting for RTV News.
Young people with artificial intelligence projects say their projects could be the solution to the problems faced by investors, saying that businesses should trust technology projects run by the youth. This was stated by the youth at a conclusion of a 15-person training on artificial intelligence. Jane Mutoni now reports.
Artificial intelligence is a technology that gives intelligence to inanimate objects that can make the same decisions as humans do, including drones and robots. Umhir Evelyn is one of 15 young people who have been trained by IEAPR labs in Kigali on this technology. After completing the training, she has already been recognized by a medical dispensing center across Africa and is keen to work with her. She is pleased that she is going to use technology as a solution to some of the existing problems.
It's a company that wants a system to predict the next purchase day and for the stock management and procurement system. So this system we are working on, we are trying to help companies to predict, to know the next purchase day so that they can supply them a little bit earlier to help them, so as to avoid the medical shortage.
The Director of Research and Program Development, Tuyihimbaze Serge, urges businesses to work with young people who are ready to innovate ways that accelerate services.
We really encourage more companies, the ICT companies, who need to either innovate around the existing products they have, or needs to work on some new products, to engage these kind of fellows, because these fellows are eager to learn and even apply the skills they obtained during the training. So it's really a great benefit to a company that puts more efforts on the research and development part, because every company needs to make sure that they innovate. If you don't innovate, you are left behind.
A professor at a university in Germany who was also involved in the training, Professor Wolfram Hart, says that these young people need companions in their artificial intelligence projects.
And then they need a partner, either an industry partner or a university partner, in order to get the right connections and the right guidance. And the market and the possibilities in Rwanda are so big.
GIZ sponsored the training on artificial intelligence. The representative of GIZ in Africa, Kim Skoult, says that due to the significant results from the trainings provided by GIZ to the youth, it will continue to support technology projects.
We are happy to confirm that we're going to support as GIZ a second cohort of the fellowship, which is going to start in September, because the first cohort has been a pilot. And this pilot has been really successful. We've seen that 3 of the fellows have already been hired by companies, which really is one of the key ideas of the fellowship.
5 industries are working with LEAPR. 12 graduates are going to start working with these industries. Jane Mutoni, RTV News.
We will leave it at that for today. Thank you for the privilege of your time. I wish you all a wonderful weekend, of course not forgetting to remind you to do all that's required of you to stop the spread of the pandemic. Otherwise, God bless you and keep you. And until next time, I'm Gloria Mutesi. Bye for now.